You mentioned 13Fs, and I want to touch back on that because there's a really interesting timing question related to them. So they come out 4 times a year, and they talk about the past quarter. And so if you're trying to follow in the footsteps of these billionaire investors, and we can talk after this about whether or not that's a good idea to begin with, but you can't exactly time it with them. You have to wait until you get this filing. And even then, it doesn't say, oh, he got in January or in March, or he got in and out and then back in again. It's kind of just a loose look at, in general, what are they interested in?
Right, and you really have to know what the style of that billionaire investor is. I
Yes.
mean, they run the gamut, right? You've got
Yes,
everything from
absolutely.
Warren Buffett, whose holding period is, we'll call it, infinite, to George Soros, who embraces something he calls the theory of reflexivity, which gets him in and out of stocks relatively quickly. Things that he owns in one quarter could very well not be owned in the next quarter. So yeah, there's you got to always look at these reports with a grain of salt and recognize that what's in them now may not be what they actually own today, the day you're looking at it.
Yeah, and you won't find out until the next 13F comes out.
Right, and that could be depending on when they sold it. What, 3, 4? Well, because there's a lag in when they file, 4 months from when they actually exited the position.
Exactly. So a guy like Soros would be particularly difficult to follow because he's not doing the Buffett or, dare I say, the Motley Fool style of buying and holding. He is trying to time the market a little bit and put his finger on the pulse and figure out what's trending, what's not. And this is really, really hard to do and is impossible to mimic from somebody just looking at 13Fs.
Very few people have had the success that Soros has had in embracing that kind of we'll call it a rapid fire approach. And, I think that, you and I have talked in the past about these kind of things. The fool's mission here is to educate. Education is so important. And that education means researching and understanding your ideas before you click the buy or the sell button. And that's, if you're following in the footsteps of billionaire investors, that doesn't change. You still need to make sure that you need to understand how, what their style is, what their rationale could be. You need to understand the company. In healthcare, you got to know the product, the pipeline, the profitability. All those things are still so critical. Don't just follow blindly in the footsteps.